Hi everyone, I'm Jake and I'm going to be presenting Magic the Gathering today. I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about the history and teaching you how to play the card game. First, like I said, we're going to go over the history. Richard Garfield invented this card game back in 1991. He's a mathematician and game designer. He eventually published the game with Wizards of the Coast in 1993. Wizards of the Coast is a tabletop game company, and a couple years after that, Hasbro, a toy company, bought out Wizards of the Coast so they could acquire Magic the Gathering. Mind you, all this happened very quickly within less than 10 years. The community exploded. Everyone loved this game. This is the first trading card collector game that there was at the time. The community loves it so much that this card right here is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Next, I'm going to get into the basics. First, we're going to start off with life. This is arguably very important for winning or losing the game. You start off with 40 life. If you get down to 0, you lose the game. Next is your deck. Your deck has 100 cards, and if at any point during your turn you need to draw a card and you have no more cards in your deck, you lose the game also. And lastly, your hand. You have only 7 cards in your hand. You should never have more than that. If you get to your turn and you have more than 7 cards, at the end of that turn, you have to discard cards until you have 7. Lastly, next, we're going to get into card types. First, we're going to start off with artifacts and enchantments. These cards can seem like they don't do much at times. You'll play them, they'll sit on the board, and they'll have some kind of special ability that helps you progress in what you're trying to do with your deck or the cards that you have in your hand. Next, I'm going to talk about instants and sorceries. Instants and sorceries can sometimes be a bit confusing for beginner players. You'll play an instant or sorcery, and it does what the card says it's going to do, and then it goes straight to the graveyard. That's it. That's all the cards do. The only difference between these is sorceries you can only play on your turn, and instances you can play on your opponent's turn. So you can sneak up on them and mess up their game plan. Next is creatures. Creatures are arguably one of the most important card types. It is what every deck is most likely going to have in it, and you're going to use these creatures to beat down your opponents to win the game. Next is what I think is the most important card type is lands. Lands you can only play once per turn, and this is the resource you have to use to be able to play these cards. Each land that you tap can only tap for 1 mana, and mana is what we're using to play the cards. Next, I have this card breakdown. You have the name of the card in the top left. You have the mana cost in the top right. This mana cost can be very confusing for beginners. You have this generic 4 right here. That is going to be how much of whatever mana it's going to cost to play this card. So we're going to need to tap 4 lands. Next, you have the 2 red fireballs. So now we're going to have to need 2 red lands on top of our 4 lands to be able to play this card. So all together we need 6 mana, which is going to be 6 lands. Next, we have the type of the card. It's down here in the middle of the card. You have what we have right here is a creature card. But this is where you're going to see artifact, enchantment, land, what have you. Next is the ability of the card. This is the giant text box at the bottom of the card, and whatever this is, whatever it says it's going to do, that's going to be the ability of the card. That's going to be what the card wants to do, what you're going to want to do. And then lastly, since this is a creature, in the bottom right we have the power and toughness of this card. This card has 5 power and 5 toughness. So in the Magic community, we would say that this is a 5/5 creature. Next, I'm going to go over turns. So during your turn, you have your 5 phases. You have beginning phase, first main phase, combat phase, second main phase, and your end phase. During your beginning phase, it can be very confusing for what happens in this phase for beginner players, but all you need to know for starting out, this is where you draw your card and you start playing. We move on to your first main phase. First main phase is where you're going to be able to do everything that you want to do. Whatever's in your hand, you're going to want to tap lands to play it, or you're going to want to play lands so that you can eventually play these cards that are in your hand. Next, we're going to go to combat. During combat, this is where you're going to use your creatures to beat down your opponents. You want to get them to 0 so that you can win the game. Next, we're going to go to the second main phase. Second main phase is where maybe you forgot to play a card, or maybe you wanted to wait to play a card to see what an opponent might react to. And this is where you're going to do that in your second main phase. Now we move on to your end phase. Sometimes at the end of turns, a lot of things happen and we get to draw extra cards to do more fun things. So if you again, here at your end phase, if you have more than 7 cards, this is where you're going to discard cards into your graveyard until you have 7 cards. And that's all I have for you guys today. That is the bare minimum. That is as short as I could make how to play this game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that this intrigues you to maybe go out and try Magic the Gathering. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Thank you guys.